If you watched my video on the Soul's inventory system, you knew this was coming. Poopwalk. Yep, it's back. This time in Demon Souls. Although the majority of you watching this are probably already familiar with what the glitch does due to my Dark Souls video on it, I'll give a quick rundown for anyone who isn't. Basically, the glitch causes animation transforms to only have half the weight they normally would, while the length of the animation remains the same. This effectively halves your movement speed, roll distance, and any other sort of animation-based movement. Why this happens? I actually do know now. It's triggered by getting an animation stuck in the player's current animation list. The weight of the animations are divided by the number of animations in the list, so by getting one stuck in the list, we've halved the weight of all of the other animations. For rules for this run, the only duping I'm allowing is basic supplies after a soul farm is unlocked, as it just saves time over having to farm souls for them. Outside of that, no duping allowed. Everything else is fair game, though this game doesn't have too many skips or other glitches we're going to be able to take advantage of anyway. Let's begin. We're going to start this run off as a magician, and if it wasn't clear, aim for a magic build. I would not recommend attempting this with a pure melee build. This run is going to be much harder than either of the Dark Souls Poopwalk runs I did. Part of that comes down to me being far less familiar with Demon Souls, and the other part comes down to Demon Souls just simply being the harder game. So we're going to need every advantage we can get. Poopwalk can be achieved as soon as you get to the Nexus, and fortunately you can skip the game's tutorial if you already have a character that's been through it. So we can achieve Poopwalk right at the start. To perform it, we need to first get an item with an invalid ID into one of our right-hand slots. We can do this by going into one of the good slots, then backstabbing the worshipper of God, highlighting equipment, and mashing X. By cancelling her dialogue, the frame it pops up with the equipment screen open will trigger the equip slot manipulation, or ESM glitch, and be able to equip the Augite of Souls into our second right-hand slot. If you want more info about how ESM works, I'll link my video on the Souls inventory in the description. With the invalid weapon in your right hand, tap L1 to block, and right as the block animation transitions back to the idle animation, press L2 to trigger a broken T-pose animation. If done right, it'll cause the block animation to get stuck in the animation list and trigger Poopwalk. Poopwalk achieved, the run can truly begin. To reiterate from my first video on it, Poopwalk is not persistent, so it needs to be triggered every time you go through a loading screen. This means we'll need to be careful when reloading to be sure that we can get it set up again before we're forced to move. In the first area here, I opted to fight all of the enemies along the way to try to build up a reserve of grass. The old reliable combo of block and backstab is pretty effective. This game also has a fun trick you can do with parries by riposting and backstepping on the same frame. This cancels your character's portion of the animation, but the enemy still takes the hit, so you can use this to get through enemies a little bit faster. Note that, unlike Dark Souls though, you can't parry out of a block. Carry on through the normal path, and when you get here, you can usually get both enemies to fall into the pit. In my case, only one of them fell, and I had to take out the other. Immediately after the first indoor area, smash the shelves so you can grab the fire bombs. Carrying on from there, there's nothing too noteworthy to mention until you get to the boulder trap. You can roll over it with good timing, or you can just mess it up and face tank it like I did. Up top, take out the knight, and then it was time to decide whether or not it would be worth it to open the shortcut. Ultimately, I decided it was, not for the shortcut itself, but for the cling ring, which you get after opening it. The shortcut has a bunch of dredgelings with fire swords and a few piles of explosive barrels. We can take advantage of the barrels to make life a little bit easier. A lot of the time, the first dredgeling will smack the barrels and blow up himself and his buddy behind him. In this case though, he went around the barrel, so I had to fight him while the second dredgeling blew himself up. Head down the stairs and take out the next enemy before getting to the bottom section. Stand around here so the enemies jump off the stairs when they try to attack, and with some luck, they'll explode themselves. You should only have to deal with a couple more enemies after that, and they're easy enough to pick off on their own. Use the lever to open the gate, and grab the cling ring. For those unfamiliar with it, the cling ring lets you keep 70% of your max health as a phantom, rather than only half. It's going to be very handy both now, and anytime we die, which is going to happen a lot in this run. Head back up top, and through the fog gate. Be careful of the barrels in the following section, as the soldier there will throw firebombs at you. Heading back outside, we're not going to bother fighting the enemies in the next section. Instead, just make a run for the fog gate and reload when you're far enough away from where the knight spawns. Free the boulders and heal up while you're waiting for them to roll through. There's a pretty good chance you'll get a grass drop or two from the flattened enemies. The next section is where I made my first critical mistake. I decided to just keep running past the enemies and trigger the dragon to fly over so we could take them out with his fire while I waited safely off to the side. Unfortunately, the enemies ganked me quite a bit harder than I was expecting, and I died before he had the chance. So the shortcut did end up being useful after all, though it is a bit annoying to get through the enemies there. Getting back to where I died, this time I decided it would be better to take out the enemies that come at you. The two spearmen are pretty annoying to deal with at the same time, but by abusing your shield and using heavy attacks, they're manageable. Lure out the soldier with the battle axe on the bridge and take him out. And I don't care what the official pronunciation of Lear is. You don't say cure like cooer, so I'm saying my pronunciation is the correct one. Head up and onto the side of the bridge and wait for the dragon to fly in and clear out most of the enemies. After that, you'll want to take the other path out to where the sleeping dragon is, so the red dragon flies back over there. Head back to the bridge, and since most of the enemies have been dealt with, you should be able to make it across with a bit of time to spare. Pull the lever to open the gate to the boss, and reload to lose aggro from the chasing spearmen. Clear out the two enemies in the alley, and take them out one at a time. Afterwards, take the path to the left of the doorway we came through, and grab the turpentine at the end. Head down the other path, and make your way down the tower. If you die at this point, it doesn't matter as the gate to the boss is already open, and there's nothing in the tower we need. You can take a bit of a shortcut down by rolling off of the ledge here to safely land on the stairs below. From there, it's a quick drop to the lever. Heal up after pulling it, and use one of the turpentines as you approach the fog gate. Head inside, and we're stuck. For whatever reason, this fog gate has 2 layers, and you can't make it through with Poopwalk active. I'll talk more about this fog gate later though. Unfortunately, we will need to disable Poopwalk to continue here. However, I did discover that if you enter from as far back as possible, the fight doesn't trigger, which gives us time to set up Poopwalk and continue the run. The fight itself is not overly difficult. Walk forward a bit and start chucking all of your firebombs at the boss to clear out a chunk of the minions. From there, use turpentine on your sword and two-hand it for some pretty good damage. While you're waiting for your stamina to refill, you can also get a flame toss in, though I was pretty slow at doing that in this run. Touch the archstone to collect the soul, and return to the Nexus. Waddle your way upstairs to the Monumental. After you speak to him, you can reload to respawn at the statue rather than having to walk all the way back down. Next, head over to the Maiden and start leveling magic. I meant to pop the lead demon's soul before leveling, but I forgot. Either way, it's no big deal for now. Now that the rest of the game is open to us, our next destination is the Shrine of Storms, also known as 4-1. Running past the enemies here is not going to be viable. The skeletons roll faster than you can run normally, so with Poopwalk, we have no chance. Instead, we'll want to make use of our shield and flame toss to take them out. They can be staggered by blocking certain attacks, which gives you enough time to hit them with flame toss for free. Note that not all of their attacks can be staggered, and if you dodge an attack instead, they can instantly follow it up by rolling. So you do need to be somewhat careful here. Continue forward after taking out the first skeleton, and the next skeleton will roll right at you. Once he's dealt with, head up the stairs and trigger the next melee skeleton. The archer will also notice you, so this part is a little dangerous as the arrows deal a good bit of damage. Try to strafe around them while you're dealing with the meleeer. Once he's gone, head up the very right side of the path. You can safely take out the archer from there without triggering the next melee skeleton. Trigger the next one, take him out, and there's one final skeleton to deal with after that. Use your grass and spices as needed, we don't need to be conservative with them here. After dealing with the final skeleton, head through the fog gate and enter the tunnel. Turn sideways when you trigger the trap so you won't get hit. Take the exit on the left, and behind another skeleton you'll find a crescent falchion +1. This skeleton can't roll, so just run past him. Once you've got the falchion, take the archstone back to the Nexus. At this point, we could either farm the skeletons or the Cthulhus in 3-1 for souls to buy an unlimited amount of crescent moongrass and fresh spices. So this is the point where, to save time, I'm allowing myself to dupe those items. The dupe is not difficult to perform. First parry, and while parrying, cue the Nexial binding. From there, open the menu and go into the inventory before the prompt pops up. Close both the menu and the prompt by pressing start, then speak to Thomas. Choose to store all of the item you want to dupe, and the Nexial binding will trigger. Cancel it by pressing circle, and that's it. Thomas will now be holding 1024 of whatever item you stored. When you take any of that item, the quantity will go back down to the max of 99 though. Resupplied, it's time to return to 4-1. Up to where the fog gate was, it's going to be the same story as last time. Instead of going into the tunnel, this time you'll want to head straight towards the vanguard. Dodge him, then head into the pit behind him. Reload there to lose aggro. Head into the nearby fog gate, up the stairs, and onto the ladder. As you may already know, Poopwalk and ladders have some fun interactions due to ladders working by keeping track of how many steps your character has taken. Head onto the makeshift bridge and drop down into the pathway to avoid having to deal with all of the skeletons. We're now at the most annoying part of this area due to the flying stingrays. It is possible to hit them, but it's not easy unless you catch them as they're attacking. Still, you will want to take out at least a couple of them before proceeding, as we'll need to deal with another enemy coming up, and they're going to be a problem if we don't. Once it's safe enough, trigger the gold skeleton and start running back. As he approaches, spam flame toss until he's dead. Try to take out more of the stingrays if there's still a problem, and then there's 2 more skeletons to deal with. After taking out the last skeleton, head into the fog gate and take the doorway immediately on the left. Follow the path all the way down and you'll find the regenerator's ring. The ring heals 4 HP per second, which, while it may sound small, is actually pretty significant. Return to the doorway we came through and head through the doorway under the stairs on the left. Avoid the trap, then head in, dodge the skeleton, and be ready for the next boss. The Adjudicator is not a difficult boss, especially with magic. Sit up here and use Flame Toss on the bird. You can attack twice between each of his attacks safely, and dodge as necessary. It may be possible to strafe his cleaver attacks with Poopwalk active, but I rolled just to be safe. With his defeat, head down to the Archstone and collect his soul. Back at the Nexus, pop his soul and the lead demon soul if you forgot to, then do some leveling at the Maiden, getting 31 magic and dumping the remainder into intelligence. Our next stop is the Tower of Latria. Follow the path to the left from the start and you'll find the first key and the first Cthulhu. Draw him in, then use the falchion to take him out. Due to the crescent prefix, its damage scales with magic, and it'll only take 3 two-handed light attacks to take him out. Continue down the path into the tunnel, and on the other side you'll find another Cthulhu. Keeping on from there, we'll find another Cthulhu and another key. Head all the way back and through the gate to the right of the start. Now upstairs, take out the prisoner, then head all the way around to the open cell and through the broken wall. On the right, there's another Cthulhu and another key. Go back through the cell we entered, and at the end of the path, there's another gate. Behind the gate is, as you could probably guess, another Cthulhu. This one actually put up a bit of a fight though. Once he's dealt with, go through the next gate, wait for the next Cthulhu to approach, and take him out too. Before heading through the gate at the end, stop in at this cell and open this Iron Maiden to get the Ring of Magical Sharpness. Carrying on, keep heading down the stairs, grab the key, and continue downward all the way to the bottom level. Walk close to the Grafted Scion's cousin to get it to melee instead of use magic, and make your way outside. Next up, we need to get past the arrow trap. This is all just about timing your rolls, and I did a terrible job of it. Done properly, it should look more like this. When you get close enough, you can stand off to the side and the arrows won't be able to hit you anymore. Pull the lever to disable the trap, then head back to grab the Clever Rat's Ring. You'll now want to have the Ring of Magical Sharpness and the Rat's Ring equipped. If you're not familiar with Demon Souls, the Ring of Magical Sharpness is basically the Crown of Dusk, and the Rat's Ring is basically the Red Tearstone Ring. Head into the tower on the right, all the way down the pathway, and into the door at the end. There you'll want to take out the guy who revives the boss, and grab the key. Reload afterwards, and it'll put you back at the door we came through. Drop down at the gap in the railing, and block the red phantom's bolts until the rat ring triggers. It's time to take on the fool's idol. Head straight down the center of the room, and take out the prisoner who will get in your way. From there, head straight towards the idol. It's possible to one-cycle the idol by doing 4 one-handed R1s, followed by flame toss, followed by 4 two-handed R1s, but I messed this up and forgot to un-two-hand the falchion beforehand. Luckily for me, RNG bailed me out with a close spawn, so I was still able to close out the fight. Another archstone, and another soul. We don't want to pop the soul this time, as we'll need it shortly. We will want to head over to the Maiden and get more intelligence though. Back to where we were, be prepared for some very annoying enemies. At full health, running past the gargoyles isn't too bad. Even if they hit you, the regenerator's ring will heal you before the next dangerous encounter. The path here is pretty straightforward, just be careful when trying to get on the elevator. At the top, take out the dudes casting the ritual, and we're on to part 2 of this section. Into the cage elevator we go, and now we're at the annoying part. This part features human centipedes. The little ones aren't so bad, but the big ones can jump at you, and if they do, you'll often end up getting stuck inside them, and I mean, nobody wants to be stuck in a human centipede. Dying also makes the gargoyles in the first section much more dangerous, as if they catch you when you're running, it's a one-shot. After multiple attempts at running through, it became pretty clear that this wasn't going to be viable. So it was time for a new strategy. When you get back down, immediately run off the catwalk to the other side. Follow the path down until you get to the stairs here. This lets us skip a few of the centipedes. It was time for the new strategy. Kill them all. It only takes 3 hits with the falchion to kill them, and you don't have to worry about being trapped inside them if they're dead. The little ones are somewhat difficult to hit with Poopwalk, but it's still doable. After clearing out the last group of centipedes, you'll be on a path with a red phantom Cthulhu. They have a lot of health and their attacks give them infinite poise, so you're better off just running past him and reloading. Past that, there's more centipedes, give them the same treatment as the others. Carry on to the tower and take out the gargoyles if they become a problem. Head up, break the ritual, and we're done with the worst part of this area. Before continuing on to the boss, we'll want to return to the Nexus and go back to the previous zone. Make your way to the stairs after the cell where we got the Ring of Magical Sharpness. This time you'll only want to go down the first set of stairs, then out to the walkway. Open Frake's cell and speak to him, then return to the Nexus. You'll find Frake behind the stairs on the left. Speak to him to trade the Doll Demon Soul for Soul Ray, then replace Flame Toss with it. Return to 3-2, and we're ready for the boss. Make your way back to the giant round staircase, and now that the blockage is gone, we can keep going up. There's another red Cthulhu here. You'll want to run towards him until he turns around, then reload. He'll spawn in behind us, and the path is clear. As for the maneaters, the biggest challenge is figuring out their janky AI. They fly off randomly, fail to land properly, and are just in general pretty annoying. We're going to mainly focus on using Soul Ray for this fight. If they happen to stay within melee range, you can use the falchion for pretty good effect too. Anytime they do their leap attack, you'll want to punish it, along with any attacks they do in the air. As long as you're playing the fight aggressively enough, you should be able to take down the first Maneater before the second one attacks you. On your way down the bridge, grab the full moon grass from here. The ledge may be a bit uncooperative. You know the rest of the drill, another soul and another archstone. Pop the soul and level up intelligence to 25. With that, we're back to focusing on magic. Now back to where we were, and onto another part I knew was going to be annoying. The centipedes on the stairs are easy enough to deal with using a couple hits with the falchion. The Cthulhus, not so much. As I mentioned earlier, their attacks give them infinite poise. This leaves only a very small window where you can stagger them between attacks. It is possible to get past the first one, but chances are you'll be trapped by the second one, and then you're doomed. I did luckily manage to get past both of them once, only to choose a bad time to heal during the boss fight and get destroyed. A much better strategy for getting up the stairs is to just stunlock the Cthulhus with Soul Ray. Just be careful on entering the fog gate, as if you enter from too far back, this can happen. The boss fight itself is normally quite easy. As long as you have a weapon with greater reach than the monk does, you can just stunlock him due to his lack of poise and strafe his homing attacks as needed. With Poopwalk, it's a different story. Your reach is significantly reduced, as well as your mobility, which allows the monk to close the distance much easier than he normally would be able to. We also can't strafe the homing attacks as easily, so rolling to be safe is the better choice. So basically, the strategy is the same as the normal one, just a bit more scuffed. In case you were wondering, he'll usually just dodge our magic attacks, so melee is the way to go. Our first Archdemon soul obtained, return to the Nexus, and trade it in for homing soul arrow. Dump your souls into magic, then we're off to the Valley of Defilement. Take out the first couple enemies in the area, and drop down here. 5-1 has one of the few Poopwalk viable skips. Drop off here, and reload as you hit the slope below. If done correctly, you'll load back in at the bottom, alive. Unfortunately, sometimes this can happen. When that doesn't happen, you'll want to clear out the enemies, cross the bridge you need to knock down, and avoid the rats. Go around the big dude, take out the enemy with the flame spear, and shove the bug out of your way. On the bridge, if you lock onto the second enemy, you can take out both him and the first enemy with a single soul ray. You'll need to fight the big enemy behind them, just use the falchion, and dodge as necessary. On to the leechmonger. This fight will be over before you know it. Use the combination of homing soul arrow followed by soul ray twice, then finish the fight with one more attack. More souls, and more magic. Now you might be a fan of moving at half speed, but what about half speed? Some of you might call that quarter speed. Well, then you're going to love this next area. Head forward until you get to the first enemy, then drop down into the poison swamp. Like Blighttown Swamp from Dark Souls, the one here also makes you move at half speed. Unlike Blighttown Swamp, you can't roll through it, and in the original version of Demon's Souls, there's no ring to make moving through it faster. When you drop down, you'll be able to see an item to the left and an item to the right. You'll want to head roughly for the middle of the space between the two items. When you get close enough, a bunch of items will pop into view, and you'll want to aim for the two that are close together. Beyond that, there's a red phantom NPC, and she's going to be a problem. I was hoping to just avoid her and continue on, but that didn't go so well. So we'll be going with the nuclear option and waiting for her to come to us on the island with the items, then blasting her with homing soul arrow. Continue on to the item you can see past the two we walk towards and pick it up. We'll get the cat's ring, which will be very important later, and it also has the best status effect icon in the game. Make your way towards the fog gate you can see in the distance and sneak around the nearby enemies. Drop off the walkway and you'll see another item ahead. Pick it up for the Thief's Ring, basically the Ring of Fog from Dark Souls. You'll want to equip it immediately, as it'll make getting past the enemies ahead a little bit easier. Carry on through the path, past the slugs, and up to the next fog gate. Take a long path around the enemies, and the only one that'll notice you is the glowing one. As long as you keep running, he never seems to hit you. We're now into the most dangerous section of the area. My plan was to just run through. That was shut down pretty quickly when I got shoved into this hut by one of the enemies. I did manage to fight my way out, only to get poisoned by one of the enemies up ahead. The poison inflicted by enemies in this game is more like toxic from Dark Souls, and from that point I was basically doomed. After a few more failed attempts of both running through and meleeing my way through, I realized I was going to need to rely on magic to get through safely. Taking your time and picking off the enemies one by one with Soul Ray makes the area easy enough. From there you can either open the shortcut to be safe, or head straight for the boss. The Dirty Colossus is not the hardest boss. Use the falchion to break his armor, bait him into doing melee attacks, and use homing soul arrow followed by Soul Ray when he does. Rinse and repeat until he's dead. Grab the soul, pop it, and level up magic.
Soul of the lost withdrawn from its vest.
On to the final part of the valley. The normal strategy is to just quickly run up to Astraea and take her out before the plague and Garl can kill you. That's obviously not going to work so well when we're moving at half speed. Garl can also block our magic attacks, so at first I wasn't sure what to do. I eventually discovered that if you cast Homing Soul Arrow then walk into his attack range, he'll always get hit. It takes a while to get him down, but it works. From there, heal up, equip the Rat Ring, and head into the Plague Swamp. As soon as the ring symbol pops up, cast Homing Soul Arrow. Cast it a second time when it fires, and immediately use a Full Moon Grass to stay alive. Our second Archdemon Soul collected, we're halfway there. Pop the soul and get 45 magic. All future levels will be going into Vitality. It's finally time to return to the Shrine of Storms. Equip both the cat and rat rings and head inside the door. Let the enemies smack you until the rat ring triggers, then take the door on the left and head through the illusory wall. Back outside, dodge the skeleton, and hope that doesn't happen. Trying that again, we just want to fall off of the ledge, then reload as we touch the ground. If you're familiar with the fall control quit out glitch from Dark Souls, we're doing the same thing here with the cat ring. Basically, the ring slightly delays death from falling. If you quit out or reload during that delay, the game will load you back in wherever you landed, alive and well. By doing this, we've landed straight in the out of bounds section of the Storm King's arena, bypassing the majority of 4-2 and the fight with the old hero. You'll want to walk in bounds over here. If you're not careful, you can get stuck. Swap out the cat ring for the Ring of Magical Sharpness and touch the fight trigger. To start off, you need to kill 6 of the stingrays to get the Storm King to come down. Attempting the normal strategy of doing this, then running down, didn't go so well. After a bunch of experimenting, this is the strategy I came up with. First, take out 5 of the rays as normal. Equip the Thief's Ring and dodge your way down to the bottom. Get behind this pillar for safety, then take out the final ray. As the Storm King flies in, equip the Ring of Magical Sharpness, lock onto the King, and start firing. Unfortunately, I hit the pillar with one of my attacks, so I had to wait for the King to come around a second time to finish him off. After leveling up, head straight to Stonefang Tunnel. As you approach the building, wait for the rocks the enemies are throwing to almost completely disappear, then run through. When you go into the open room, fire a soul ray into the stack of urns. You'll be able to take out a dog or two like this, then finish off the remainder with your falchion. Proceed forward, and use Soul Ray to blast any enemies in your way. Head up and across the left side of the bridge, and watch out for Sir Topham Hatt's fireballs. Or just face tank them like me. Either way, drop down and pull the lever, then head back up and through the now open gate. Coming up, there's a simple skip you can do by casting a water veil and rolling through the lava. I wasn't sure if it would work with Poopwalk, but nothing ventured, nothing gained. In this case, just nothing gained. Returning, take out the enemies ahead, then break the cart, and you can open a shortcut back in case anything else goes awry. Carrying on, take out the enemies that get in the way, and run past the big group of enemies with the rock throwers. Next, there's some lizards to run past, and some dogs to take out. Down below, there's one more group of miners to deal with before you can turn the crank and open the path to the boss. Return to the now lava-less site of our failed experiment, and proceed through. Wait for the Fat Controller to explode some of the barrels, go around him, and head straight to the elevator leading to the boss. The Armor Spider is not overly difficult with a magic build. The attacks are a bit harder to dodge with Poopwalk, but we're tanky enough to take a couple anyway. Get in close, and 2 homing soul arrows will end the fight. After leveling up, return to the Spider's Archstone. Let the first miner smack you to get into Rat Ring range, and make sure you've got the Cat Ring on. Head through the tunnel, then we're going to do a series of fall cat roll quitouts, see what I did there, to make it to the bottom safely without triggering the worms. Safely at the bottom, head to the boss. The Flame Lurker is normally one of the game's hardest bosses. With our setup, he'll be quite easy. Use the Thief's Ring to sneak around behind him, then swap it out for the Ring of Magical Sharpness. Cast Homing Soul Arrow, and as soon as it fires, cast it again, followed by a Soul Ray. He never stood a chance. Level up, and we're onto a boss I thought might be impossible for this run. The Dragon God is a gimmick boss where you need to hide behind objects and run to 2 ballista things to pin him down. Running is obviously not our strong suit. To start off, wait for him to attack, then run to the first safe spot. You'll still probably get hit, but we can tank it. Heal up, break the debris in the way, and be prepared to take another hit at the next safe spot. The Dragon God will likely have broken the next bit of debris, so from here it's a straight shot to the first ballista. We can take a small shortcut at this point by rolling over the railing from the stairs. From this point, I knew we were going to have to tank the fire attacks. My only hope was that Water Veil would increase our fire resistance enough that we wouldn't get one-shotted. Fortunately, as it turns out, Water Veil makes us quite tanky indeed. Break the next set of debris, tank the attack, and heal up. There's one final bit of debris, and then it's a straight shot to the ballista. From there, the fight is over. Approach the dragon god with homing soul arrow, and you've won. We're finally back to the Boletarian Palace. This next area isn't going to be particularly hard. Run past the hoplites, cast Water Veil, and tank your way across the bridge. Stick to the upper level and clear out the group of archers when you get there. Heal up, tank through more fire, and finish off the last group of enemies. On to the Tower Knight. Equip the Thief's Ring and a homing soul arrow followed by a soul ray or two will finish the fight. After leveling once more, head forward into what is undoubtedly the hardest section of this run. Take out the dogs in the first part, then stick to the right of the stairs to avoid the boulders. On your first time through the area, enemies will come busting out of the crates and barrels on the right, and you'll want to take them out. If you carefully drop off of the ledge ahead onto the railing below, you can take a very small shortcut by rolling over to the side. Proceed onward until you get to the stairs with the boulder trap. Stop just before the first alcove and roll through the boulder. It'll take out the assassins and we'll only need to deal with the soldier. Dodge the knight in the hall ahead, or at least attempt to dodge him, and proceed outside. Head up the stairs, past the enemies, and through another boulder trap. I should have reloaded to lose aggro here, but I didn't realize how far the assassin would follow you. When I finally turned around to fight him, I got hit from the knight behind and ultimately ping-ponged to death. And with that death, the area becomes a bit harder because the boulder traps don't reset, so we can't use them to take out enemies for us. This time when you go up the stairs, you'll want to just run past the group of enemies as they're no longer blocking our path. The boulder will now be at the bottom of the stairs and you'll want to be careful going around it, as apparently this can happen. Carrying on past that, you'll want to take out the archer up the stairs and the assassins one by one, since the boulder won't be taking them out for us. Stand here to lure out the first assassin, then move back to take him out. Go up to here for the second assassin, and finally deal with the soldier. There is a third assassin in the final alcove, but we can avoid him just by running around the corner and reloading. The next section is more or less the same, just note that you won't have the boulder taking out the enemies chasing you. At the top, go around the corner and reload to avoid the mishap I had with the assassin. The knight ahead can be a problem, especially if he freezes in place, as it makes him less predictable. Either way, you'll want to get past him and the archers afterwards. Stick to the outer section of the following area and drop down at the end. If you get unlucky, one of the spearmen can rush you, and there's not much you can do about it. If you manage to get past that, you'll want to stick to the right to get to the stairs. Your reward is 3 knights with spears that are very fun to try and get past. Attempting all of that again, you'll pretty much want to hope that you get good enough luck that you can get past the knights, and reload a bit up the stairs to be free and clear. With that done, we finally made it to the Penetrator. Not a particularly hard boss, but after making it through the area, you really don't want to mess it up. Homing Soul Arrow will be our main method of attack. Outside of that, just focus on dodging. After leveling up, continue onwards. With the Thief's Ring on, you'll just want to stick to the right side of the next section. You can reload in the alley to lose aggro from the red phantom that follows you if you want. If not, carry on. Head around the first knight on the stairs, then draw the second knight down a bit before running around him too. We'll encounter our next problem immediately, the blue dragon. My initial thought was to water veil tank through the fire just like with the dragon god, but it became evident that wasn't going to work. My next thought was to just take him out. It is possible to hit him with Soul Ray, and I eventually realized that if you just stand here, lock onto his head and fire when his head is raised, you'll hit him every time. I knew it was going to take a while to get through his health, but what I didn't know is that he moves when you get through half of it. We'll encounter him again on the stairs afterwards, and this time hitting him with Soul Ray isn't going to be an option. I again tried water veil tanking, and that ended as you might expect. So it was back to the drawing board, and back to 1-1. Head all the way to where the dragons are, smack the red dragon until he leaves, and then you can safely grab the Ring of Flame Resistance. Return to 1-4, and again make the dragon move. At the stairs, equip the Ring of Flame Resistance and the Cling Ring, and make sure you're at full health. Cast Water Veil, and make sure you stop running when the fire is about to hit you to avoid the extra damage. From there, start spamming roll, and tank your way through to the safe area beyond. Finally past the dragon, we'll want to get rid of Astraea. A couple homing soul arrows and a soul ray will do the trick. We can also take out the dragon safely from below now to be sure we never need to deal with him again. After all of that, head up the elevator and to the boss. My initial attempt didn't go very well. Allant is easier to fight if you can keep a bit of distance between the two of you, and Poopwalk definitely makes that a bit harder. In the end, I opted to go for rat ring strats to end the fight quickly. You'll want to run towards Allant at the start of the fight, dodge his attack, and immediately get some distance. Once it's safe, cast Homing Soul Arrow and try to maintain your distance. If he goes for his big boom, you can flinch him out of it and get some extra damage to boot. With good luck, this fight is over in seconds. Return to the Nexus and speak to the Maiden to head to the game's finale. There's one final boss to take on, but if you're familiar with Demon Souls, you'll know that we've already won. True King Allant looks like what happened in our character's pants, and he has about the strength of such too. Just cast Homing Soul Arrow a few times, and he'll be dead before he can even flop his way over to you. From there, you get to choose an ending. I of course chose to kill the Maiden and become the demon of Poopwalk, so everyone else would have to experience my character's pain. And that's it, the run is finally over. If you were wondering, this run took nearly 17 hours of in-game time to complete, and just like the Dark Souls run, I wouldn't recommend anyone try it unless you're a fan of pain. But before I close out this video, we still need to talk about that fog gate in 1-1. This fog gate is the bane of this run. I tried entering from far back, I tried entering from very close, I tried entering from as far to the side as possible to see if the angle would make a difference. I even tried a bit of glitch hunting to see if there was any way around it, but as far as I can tell, there is no way through. The remake has 1-1 skips, but to my knowledge, those don't work in the original Demon Souls. So alas, this fog gate is the only thing preventing Demon Souls from being completed with Poopwalk active the entire time. But in any case, I hope you found this video entertaining, and I will see you guys in another video.